Exactly who we need to talk to. Sports editor, Kings beat writer for the Sacramento Bee, Jason Anderson. Jason, how are you? Thanks for your time today. What's going on?
Oh, not too much, guys. Just got back. Just landed.
Oh, yeah.
4-hour flight.
How surprised are you by what has happened to the Kings the last couple of games, Jason?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. That was, they were certainly disappointed. I know their fans were disappointed in the performance there. I didn't see that coming. Even with De'Aaron out, I think this team, should have enough talent and the continuity from last year to be able to win games like those, and to just come out and fall so flat was pretty disappointing to see.
Jason, obviously it's early in the season, 6 games in, but 2 bad losses to the Houston Rockets. What can you put your finger on? What can you point at and say, you know what, this is what they are not doing this year that they did last year?
Well, I mean, I've written about this the past few days when I was in Houston. I would refer people to my most recent stories at sactown.com if anyone is interested. But I really think there's an issue here. And Drapes, you were there. I asked Mike last night about an identity crisis. And it's only 6 games, and you played 3 of those without De'Aaron. And De'Aaron changes a lot. Okay, so that doesn't happen if he's out there. First of all, but second of all, I think there's an underlying issue here where the coaching staff is pushing on this team to be more physical, to be more defensive minded, and they're not worried about the offense. We've heard it 100 times from them. We know we can score. We know we can score. Well, you scored 97 last night and 89 on Saturday night, and it seems to me, and in talking with some of the players, I actually had a couple of them acknowledge during this trip that, yeah, it's hard. Like they're being asked to run, and they want a fast-paced team, but they're also being asked to be more physical and intense defensively. And when you do those things, it takes some out of you. There's some exertion there, and I think the legs haven't been there. I mean, so we're seeing some really bizarre offensive numbers and shooting numbers. This is a team that had the best offense in the history of the NBA last year, number 1 in offensive rating, number 1 in points scored, and right now they're middling. They're mediocre offensively. Their field goal percentage before last night was 27th in the NBA, and I think it probably went down. So they ended up at 44.4% last night because they had a hot fourth quarter. But those first 3 quarters were just atrocious, and you can see the I don't know, the fatigue on the guys when they come off the floor. And they've been running up and down. They're trying to do what Mike is asking them to do defensively. But I think it's possible that it's taking something out of them offensively. And you're taking what, Mike likes to talk about what your superpower is. And for a guy like Davion, that's his defense. For this team, the superpower is that offense. And right now they're willing, to I don't know, they're willing to sacrifice something there in the short term, because Mike feels strongly that to achieve real postseason success, you've got to be tough and intense and physical on defense. And I'm not, he's coach of the year. I'm not going to argue with him. He's been there. He's done that. And here in Sacramento, we haven't. And so I think there still has to be buy-in for what his plan is. But I do think I do think that it's probably a factor right now in what we're seeing from them with some of these offensive struggles.
Jason Anderson with us from SacB.com. By the way, all guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. It's interesting you mentioned that, Jason. I thought that was a fascinating quote you had. I think it was yesterday from Davion to that point. So given all of that, what do you think disappoints Mike Brown the most right now about the way the Kings are playing?
Well, I think one is the pace. They want to run like crazy still. Um, and they had, I think they had 2 fast break points in Saturday's loss. And last night they were getting outscored on fast break points 14-2 at the half, and the game was all but over. And Mike, celebrated the fact that they got to 11 at the end of the game. I'm not sure if you realized or not, they only had 2 at the half. So that's a big issue. They want to run, they want to get fast break points. They got punished last night in the paint, 50-38 on points in the paint. He's not worried about the offense as much as he is about, you'll hear him say it all the time, playing together, playing the right way. And when the shots aren't falling, he doesn't want to see heads and shoulders slumps. He wants to see guys that engage even more defensively and fight even harder defensively. And, this is an adjustment for this group that just hasn't been good defensively for years. And they showed flashes of it last year. They were actually pretty decent in the playoffs, I thought. Again, when Fox is out there, I think it changes things because, Fox, for all of maybe what might have been some of his faults in the early years of his career, this year is, I believe, taking a big step in that on that end of the floor and has become kind of a defensive catalyst for them. So again, I don't think we're having this conversation today if Fox was out there over the weekend. But here we are, and I think those are the issues that Mike's really looking at. He wants his team to be able to do it, no matter who's out there. He's big on the next man up mentality, and this team has the talent and the depth to be able to, survive 2 or 3 games without somebody. But unfortunately in this case, they just didn't do that.
Jason Anderson, Sac Bee, covers the Kings, sports editor. Jason, you were out there in Houston. You saw both games. What's going on with Domantas Sabonis? What did the Rockets do that thoroughly neutralized him? And what areas does he need to be better for this team?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, Alperen Şengün is a good young player, and I think not just at that spot, but at other spots. I don't know if you noticed this, Drapes, but there was a size and strength and physicality difference at most positions. The Rockets were bigger and stronger, and they've got a couple of veteran additions there with Fred VanVleet and obviously Dylan Brooks, who gave him the business on Saturday night, and even Jeff Green being out there. I mean, these are tough veteran dudes, and they've kind of brought something to that team. And I just thought they kind of had them beaten physically, and then that includes Domas. I mean, we see Domas. Domas is a physical guy. He's a strong guy, and he'll get in there and bang bodies. But he just didn't seem comfortable, especially last night, to finish with a line like, for him, 8 points and 8 rebounds and 5 assists. That's pretty pedestrian. Like he hadn't even rolled out of bed in the morning, and he's got 8, 8, and 5. So, I don't know. He only took 4 shots in that game too. Only got to the free throw line 3 times. I just think it's a physicality thing right now where they're maybe being overmatched a little bit in some ways. And I don't know what this is, but I noticed last night in particular that the Kings like to touch the paint a lot, and they're emphasizing like these cutters and all this stuff where they're trying to get points, but like that, the lane was packed last night. Like somebody got into the lane and there were 3 or 4 bodies there to contest everything. And so I'm going to have to look at the film on that myself and see if there was something different, or maybe talk to Mike a little bit about it and see what's going on there. But there just wasn't a lot of room to operate, inside in particular. And, it certainly appeared to disrupt Domas.
There's not enough Kings coverage around here these days. There's great Kings coverage, sacbee.com. Jason Anderson, the beat writer. Jason, thanks so much for your time, especially, on a busy travel day. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow night. We hope to talk to you again soon on the show.
My pleasure. Anytime, guys. Thank you.
Take care. Yeah, once again, all guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Some really interesting things in there.